Everything begins in the imagination. Every circumstance, every person, every event in your life, whether glorious or tragic, was once only an image in the mind. To act as though you are the person you wish to become is not to pretend. It is not a game. It is the secret doorway through which you re-enter the reality you have already created within. You are not begging life to give you what you want. You are not hoping that the external world will eventually agree to your desires. No, you are commanding reality through inner conviction. When you desire something, you are not instructed to go out and work to change the world. You are instructed to assume the state of the wish fulfilled, to dwell in it, to feel it, to live in it so fully within that the external must bow and conform. There is no power greater than the feeling of being. If you want love, you must feel loved. If you want abundance, you must feel abundant. If you want healing, you must feel whole. Your assumption, sustained, becomes your reality. Do not ask how it will happen. The how belongs to the infinite intelligence that governs all things. Your task is to enter the state, to abide in it faithfully, to make it more real to you in consciousness than anything your senses report. Imagine waking up tomorrow and everything you ever desired was yours. How would you walk? How would you talk? What energy would emanate from your being? Begin now to act from that state. Do not wait for the outer world to give you permission. You give yourself permission. You are the operant power. When you sit quietly and close your eyes, you are entering the creative workshop of the soul. It is there, in that stillness, that you can fashion your world anew. See yourself already in possession of your desire. Feel the thrill of its accomplishment. Do not say, "One day I will be," for that is to place your desire in the future. Say instead, "I am," and then act accordingly. Life will mirror you back precisely what you believe to be true about yourself. If you carry a deep inner conviction that you are unwanted, life will confirm it. If you feel you are forgotten, you will find circumstances that reflect that belief. But if you dare to believe that you are chosen, blessed, favored, and destined, life will rearrange itself to support that inner truth. Do not be concerned if the evidence appears slow. Seeds grow in silence beneath the soil. Your job is to keep the soil fertile, your imagination rich, your emotions aligned, your faith unwavering. Each time you return to the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are watering the seed. Keep doing it until the harvest must come. This is not about pretending. It is about shifting identity. If you desire to be wealthy, you must no longer identify with lack. If you wish to be loved, you must no longer identify with rejection. You are not fixing the old you. You are stepping into the new you. You are not becoming, you already are. And that difference is everything. Live from the end, not toward it. Speak as if you already are. Walk as if you already have. Rejoice as if the gift has already been delivered, because in the unseen realm it has. You simply await the unveiling. But your behavior now determines how and when that unveiling takes place. Every moment you feel and act as if it's done, you are collapsing time between the seen and unseen. But no man or system or circumstance can stop the one who lives in the knowing of their divine right to choose and assume. You are not a victim of fate. You are the author. Life does not happen to you. Life happens from you. You are not waiting. When you rise in the morning, remember who you are. You are the divine imagining itself into form. And what you dare to assume with conviction, persistence, and love, you shall surely experience. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step into the world you long for as if it already exists. Not in the distant future, not when circumstances agree, but now. this very moment. It is not enough to merely think about what you want. Thought alone has no power unless it is emotionally charged. The real creative force is feeling. You must feel yourself into the reality you desire. That is the secret. That is the beginning of all transformation. When you imagine something without conviction, it remains an idle dream. But when you enter into that dream with the emotional certainty that it is already true, it begins to take root in your world. You are not instructed to wait patiently for signs, nor are you told to fix the outer world before you can receive. You are told to go within and assume the state. It is within this inner act of assumption that everything begins. This is not a passive stance. This is the most powerful act a human being can take, one that defies logic and breaks through limitation. To assume means to take something upon yourself. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you carry that feeling as though it were a coat you wear, as though it clings to your skin and walks with you. You feel the joy, the peace, the gratitude, the relief that you would feel if your desire were already true. And you refuse to leave that state. No matter what your senses tell you, this is where most people falter. They allow the outer world to dictate their state. They say, I will feel rich when I have more money, or I will feel loved when someone chooses me. But that is not the creative process, that is reaction. The true creative process begins with causation. The feeling comes first. Then the world conforms. You do not wait for the evidence. You generate the inner proof, and life, being obedient to your consciousness, shapes itself to reflect your internal knowing. Now, how do you cultivate this feeling when everything around you suggests the opposite? You must withdraw your attention from appearances, not to deny them, but to refuse them the power to determine your inner world. If you are lonely and you want to feel loved, then go within and dwell in a scene where you are embraced, wanted, cherished. Feel the softness of the touch, the warmth of the smile, the tenderness of the voice that says, I see you, I choose you, I love you. Remain in that scene, not once, but again and again, until it becomes more real to you than your present loneliness. That is assuming the feeling. That is planting the seed. The world may mock you. Your mind may resist. Your senses may scream that you are delusional. But your persistence in the assumption is what determines the outcome. Do not be disheartened by delays. The tree does not grow the moment you plant the seed, but it grows silently, invisibly, powerfully, and in time it will bear fruit. So it is with your assumption. If you return again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you create a momentum that the world cannot stop. There is no one to convince, no argument to win. No one else needs to believe in your vision. It is enough that you believe. It is enough that you feel. The entire world bends to the soul that knows its power. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the truth of your divine nature. You are affirming that what you imagine is not only possible, it is real and it is yours. Now consider what happens when someone receives the very thing they've been praying for. Their body relaxes, their breath deepens, their mind grows still. There is a lightness, a relief, a sense of completion. That is the feeling you must create now, even before anything changes. That is the feeling that must become your dwelling place. You live in that state, not for a moment, but as often as possible, until it becomes your natural home. This is not pretending. This is transformation. Pretending is superficial. It is play acting. But true assumption is deep, rooted, unwavering. It is as if you are stepping into the shoes of your future self and walking with their confidence, speaking with their voice, smiling with their peace. The outer world may not yet have caught up, but it is on its way. The pattern has been set. The mold has been formed. And life, which always reflects your dominant state of being, must now mirror the new you. You may say, but I've tried this before and nothing happened. The truth is, you may have visited the state, but you did not dwell in it. You may have touched the feeling, but you did not embrace it as your truth. Or perhaps when faced with delay or contradiction, you abandoned the feeling and returned to your old identity. That is not failure. It is simply instruction. It tells you to persist, to deepen, to return more boldly to the state desired. The act of assumption is not a one-time event. It is a practice. It is devotion to the inner world above the outer. And every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even if just for a minute, you are watering the garden of your life. You are reshaping your destiny. You are telling the universe, this is who I am now. And the universe must comply. So let your inner world become vivid. Let it be drenched in feeling. Let it speak louder than your doubts. Feel the success before it arrives. Feel the love before it is spoken. Feel the health before the diagnosis changes. And most of all, refuse to step out of that state. Refuse to be persuaded by fear, by time, by resistance. The world you desire already exists in imagination. It is waiting only for your steady gaze and your emotional allegiance. Assume the feeling now, and do not let it go. Speak as though it is done, move as though it is done, love as though it is done, and you will see the world yield to your faith. Not because you begged or chased, but because you dared to believe and to feel that it was already yours. Your imagination is not a place of fantasy. It is the very womb of creation. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything that has ever appeared in your world began first in the unseen realm of thought, shaped by feeling and given form by sustained attention. There is no separation between the inner and outer worlds. The outer is merely the shadow of the inner, and your imagination is the divine faculty through which you mold that shadow. To understand the true nature of imagination is to awaken to your creative authority. Most people live as if the world happens to them, unaware that they are the ones authoring the story through the images they consistently hold in mind. They repeat cycles not because fate demands it, but because they continue to imagine the same outcomes, the same failures, the same limitations. Your imagination is not idle. It is always at work. The question is not whether you are imagining, but what you are imagining. And what you imagine with emotional conviction will solidify into your lived experience. If you want to change your life, you must begin by changing the pictures you allow to play across the screen of your mind. For every vision entertained with feeling leaves its imprint. These mental movies become blueprints. Your subconscious mind takes them as instructions, and your reality responds in perfect accordance. You are never a victim of circumstance. You are a mirror of the assumptions you hold deep within. When you imagine, you are not daydreaming. You are participating in the act of creation itself. The moment you close your eyes and enter a scene, you are building. When you feel the emotion of that scene, whether it be joy, confidence, peace, or love, you are infusing it with life. That imagined state, when nourished with feeling, begins to generate a magnetic pull. People, events, and opportunities begin to align with that vibration. You do not need to know how. You do not need to figure it out. The how is never your concern. The inner image is your only responsibility. The outer world will follow. This is why fear is so destructive, not because fear is morally wrong, but because fear is an act of creation. When you dwell in fear, you are imagining what you do not want with great emotion. And because your imagination does not discriminate, it accepts that fearful image as your chosen reality. Then it goes to work producing the experiences that match it. You are not being punished. You are simply seeing the outpicturing of the world you've been constructing in your mind. But this truth is not cause for alarm, it is cause for celebration. Because if you can create unconsciously, then you can create consciously. You can withdraw your attention from the things you no longer wish to experience and give your full energy to what you desire. You can close your eyes, silence the noise, and deliberately paint a new picture on the canvas of your inner world. And if you do it with persistence, that picture will become your reality. Nothing you desire is out of reach. What stands between you and the life you long for is not distance, it is imagination. When you imagine yourself already in possession of your desire, you are closing the gap. You are bringing the future into the now. And when you remain in that state with loyalty, you alter the course of your life. You must learn to value your imagination above your senses. Your senses report what is, but imagination reveals what can be. If you are always responding to what you see, you are trapped in repetition. But if you respond to what you imagine, you become free. You begin to move from cause rather than effect. You start shaping life instead of being shaped by it. This is not theory, it is law. It works as surely as gravity. When you imagine a new state and occupy it with feeling, the entire universe rearranges itself to reflect that change. People you have never met will appear. Doors that were closed will swing open, and all of it will seem like coincidence, until you realize it was you all along. You were not lucky. You were not favored by chance. You were aligned with your imagination. But alignment requires discipline. It requires you to return again and again to the scene of your fulfilled desire. It requires you to turn away from doubt and external contradiction and dwell in the inner world with faith. That is the work. That is the challenge. But it is also the path to freedom. You may say it's hard to believe when everything looks the opposite, and that is exactly why imagination is so vital. Imagination is not for when things are easy. It is for when things are difficult. It is the bridge between the current reality and the one you desire. And when you persist on that bridge, when you continue to see yourself as successful, loved, healthy, or free despite what surrounds you, you become unstoppable because you are no longer waiting, you are creating. There is no power in heaven or earth that can deny the one who masters the inner world. Not because the world will always cooperate, but because the creative force within you is greater than any opposition. And that force is imagination. When you feel it, when you trust it, when you surrender to it, you will discover a truth that changes everything. Your world is your mirror, and the image you hold within is the cause of all that you experience without. So use your imagination wisely. Do not let it drift into fear or replay scenes of regret. Use it as it was meant to be used, as the divine instrument of creation. Imagine what you love. Imagine who you long to be. Imagine the joy of answered prayers, the peace of resolved problems, the beauty of dreams made real. And feel it not as a wish, but as a fact. Let that feeling grow in you until it becomes the only truth you know. Then, when the world begins to shift and align with that vision, you will understand what you always suspected. The power was never out there. It was within you, waiting to be awakened. And now that you've seen it, nothing can ever be the same. There comes a moment when you must stop waiting to become and begin being. This moment is now. The shift you seek, the one that brings your desires to life, is not born through effort or willpower alone. It is born through identity. You must no longer identify with the version of yourself that lacks, longs, or begs. Instead, you step into the version that already possesses, already embodies, already knows Already, this is not about pretending. It is not about faking it until something magical happens. It is about claiming the truth that has always existed inside you and allowing it to take form. Pretending is fragile. It cracks under pressure. It tries to imitate what it doesn't truly believe. But a shift in identity, real, conscious, and deep, becomes unshakable. When you step into the I am of your desire, you are not acting like someone else. You are becoming who you really are. You are returning to your rightful state. You are remembering that your circumstances do not define you. Your assumptions do. At the moment you assume a new identity, everything around you begins to change in accordance. This identity shift is subtle but powerful. It doesn't mean you deny your current reality. It means you no longer accept it as the final authority. You stop telling stories that keep you in bondage. You stop speaking from the place of what hasn't happened yet. Instead, you adopt a new inner language, one that flows from the truth of your desire fulfilled. You don't say, I hope I can. You say, I am. You don't say, one day I'll have. You say it's already mine, not as wishful thinking, but as a declaration of being. You declare it before the evidence, and in doing so, you create the evidence. You are always living out the identity you hold most firmly. If you see yourself as the victim, life will offer you the same pain, the same stories, the same characters in different faces. If you see yourself as powerless, then no matter how many chances you are given, they will slip through your hands. But if you shift your identity to someone who is worthy, capable, chosen, and blessed, the world will start to reflect that truth, not because life suddenly improves, but because you have. The world doesn't change first, you do. You cannot drag your old self into your new life. They are not compatible. The habits, thoughts, and emotional patterns of your former identity must be released. The you who constantly overthinks, doubts, and hesitates cannot walk the path of someone who is bold, certain, and fulfilled. One must die for the other to live. And that death is not tragic. It is sacred. It is the shedding of what never truly belonged to you, so that what has always been yours can rise. It is uncomfortable at first, because the old identity will fight to stay alive. It will whisper doubts and replay old fears. It will beg you to return to familiar suffering. It will use your senses against you, pointing to what hasn't changed. But you must not listen. You must remember that you are no longer that version of yourself. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the one who claims. You are no longer the one who tries. You are the one who is. This shift begins within. It begins in the silence when no one is watching, when you are alone with your thoughts. It begins when you decide once and for all that you are done identifying with lack, rejection, failure, or abandonment. It begins when you say to yourself, I no longer carry the story that I am unwanted. I no longer live by the belief that I must earn love or prove my worth. I am already who I was seeking to become. And you let that truth sink in, not as a concept, but as a feeling, a knowing, a way of being. Once you adopt this new identity, your actions naturally follow. You do not have to force behavior. It flows from being. The person who sees themselves as confident does not try to be confident. They simply are. The person who knows they are loved does not chase validation. They radiate love. The person who believes they are blessed does not strive in desperation. They move in gratitude. When you change who you are at the core, you change everything. But this shift requires consistency. You cannot visit this new identity and expect permanence. You must dwell in it. You must return to it every day, especially when it feels foreign. You must catch yourself when the old self tries to reclaim its place. And you must gently but firmly say, That is not who I am anymore. Every time you do, you strengthen the foundation of your new reality. Every time you affirm your new identity, you breathe life into it. Let your imagination support this shift. Visualize yourself already living the life you desire. See it not as a fantasy, but as a reflection of your true self. Walk as that person, speak as that person, make decisions from that state. Ask yourself, how would I move if I already had it? What would I say if it was already done? How would I respond if I truly believed this was mine? Then act from that place, even if only in small ways. Each step you take in alignment with your new identity builds the bridge to your manifestation. This is not acting in the superficial sense. It is acting from the truth of your new state. It is embodiment. It is stepping into alignment with your soul's desire and refusing to be pulled back into the prison of your past. You are not waiting to become, you are choosing to be, and the world will rise to meet you in that choice. You are not asking for permission. You are giving yourself permission to live as the person you've always been, underneath the layers of fear, doubt, and conditioning. That version of you is not a distant dream. It is the truest you. And when you begin to honor that version, when you live from it daily, the world begins to echo it back, not through magic, but through the natural law that who you are determines what you see. So make the shift. Let go of the old skin. Lay down the stories that no longer serve you. Step into the identity that already holds your desire and walk in it. Breathe in it. Stand tall in it. Because you do not become what you want, you become what you assume. And when you assume the identity of the person who already has what you seek, you will no longer seek, you will know you will be, and all things will come to you, not as a reward, but as a reflection of the truth you finally chose to live. The path to manifestation is not paved with frantic action, constant effort, or desperate striving. It is paved with stillness, faith, and persistence. The world teaches you that you must hustle, force, and manipulate to get what you want. But the law of creation does not respond to effort. It responds to assumption. It does not move because you are busy. It moves because you are certain. The most powerful creative force in existence is not physical labor. It is unwavering inner conviction, and that conviction is made known through your persistence in faith. Faith is not passive. It is not weak. It is not idle hoping. Faith is an active force. It is the ability to remain in the state of your desire fulfilled, even when nothing around you validates that decision. It is the quiet refusal to be swayed by appearances. Faith holds the vision when reality mocks it. Faith walks forward when every step seems uncertain, trusting not in external outcomes, but in the inner knowing that what has been assumed must be expressed. The moment you assume a state and accept it as true, the law of life begins to operate. Invisible currents move, people, places, and situations begin shifting, but often there is no immediate sign. There may be no trumpet, no signal, no breakthrough. That's when most people give up. They assume their prayer was ignored, their vision denied. But what they fail to understand is that the process has already begun. The delay is not denial, it is gestation. It is the invisible unfolding of your chosen reality. The wise do not demand instant proof. They understand the nature of seed time and harvest. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every hour to check if it's growing. You water it, you protect it, you believe in the process. So it is with the assumption of your desire. Once planted in imagination, your task is not to question, but to remain faithful. Your job is not to force the outcome, but to persist in the state. Persistence does not mean effort. It means alignment. It means returning again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It means refusing to be persuaded by temporary appearances. Even when fear knocks, even when doubt whispers, you stay anchored in your inner reality. You do not wrestle with the world. You rest in your assumption. That is strength. That is true power. The mistake most people make is becoming obsessed with the external. They watch for signs, analyze delays, compare their journey to others, but the outer world is only a reflection. It cannot lead. It must follow. If you look to it for proof, you are surrendering your authority. But if you look within and persist in your state, the world has no choice but to yield. Let this become your daily discipline. Before you rise in the morning, return to your state. Before you speak to the world, speak to yourself in the language of your new identity. Do not allow the noise of life to drown out your inner knowing. Rehearse your reality in the quiet of your mind. Revisit the scene of your fulfillment. Feel it. Smile at it. Rest in it. And when the day attempts to distract you, return. Again and again, return. That is persistence. Not a desperate plea, but a calm resolve. Understand this. The law of creation does not reward those who beg. It responds to those who believe. Not those who try to convince the world, but those who have convinced themselves. Your conviction is the cause. The world is the effect. And when you become more loyal to the feeling within than the facts without, you become magnetic, not by doing more. The deeper your faith, the less you chase. The stronger your assumption, the more you attract. The one who persists in the inner state becomes a magnet for the outer manifestation. This is not philosophy, it is law. You are not asking life to change. You are assuming it already has, and then living as though it is so. That gap between the assumption and the appearance may stretch, but your role remains the same. Stay faithful. Stay in the feeling. Stay in the vision. This is where so many fail. They change their minds when nothing happens quickly. They step out of the state because their senses disagree. But faith is not about agreement. It's about decision. You've decided that this is your reality. You've decided that what you imagined is true. You've decided that what you felt is yours. That decision must become your anchor. Do not be tossed by waves of emotion or delay. Stand firm. And in that firmness, reality begins to bend. If you look at the lives of those who create consistently, who live in abundance, peace, or joy, you'll see a common thread. They believe before they see. They know before they touch. They feel before they possess. That is the way. That is the only way. Anything else is reaction, but reaction is weakness. You were not born to react. You were born to create. And creation is always an act of persistence. So let others chase and grasp. Let others worry and scheme. You remain still. You persist in silence. While the world rushes to fix what it sees, you rest in the unseen. And in time, what you rested in will become what you live in. Not because you forced it, but because you remained faithful to it. Your persistence in faith is not a chore. It is your highest act of self-love. It is your declaration that you are worthy of the life you envision. It is your testament that what you desire is not fantasy. It is your rightful inheritance. And the only thing required to receive it is to persist in the assumption that it already belongs to you. Return to the feeling, dwell in the vision, silence the doubt, and stay. Even when nothing moves, stay. Even when everything shakes, stay. For the one who stays rooted in faith becomes the author of their world, and what once was imagined becomes the only thing that ever was real. The law of reflection governs your life far more than you realize. You may think you're responding to circumstances, reacting to people, adapting to what the world gives you. But the truth is far more profound. The world is responding to you. Every event, every interaction, every twist of fate is a mirror held up to your internal state. What you believe to be true about yourself is reflected back to you with stunning precision, not to punish you, but to show you who you are being. You are not looking out at reality. You are looking into a mirror, and that mirror does not lie. It shows you what you accept as true, what you feel as fact, what you assume with feeling. If you believe the world is cold, unloving, and hard, it will show up that way. If you feel unworthy, you will find people who reflect that belief by overlooking, dismissing, or mistreating you. If you feel abundant, supported, and favored, those conditions will also find their way into your experience. Life is not arbitrary. It is exact, it is ordered. And it always gives you a reflection of yourself. This law is both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it shows you that much of your pain was never inflicted by others, it was echoed by others. Echoed from the self-image you held beneath the surface. Empowering because if you change that inner image, the echo must also change. You do not need to beg life to treat you differently. You only need to change who you are being. Not in your outer personality, but in your inner conviction. The shift begins with awareness. Begin to observe your world not as a place of random events, but as a reflection of your beliefs. Ask yourself, what must I be assuming for this to keep happening? What version of me keeps attracting these circumstances? And when you find the answer, you are not meant to feel shame. You are meant to awaken. To realize that if your assumptions created this reality, then new assumptions can create a new one. The mirror does not argue, it does not judge, it does not have favorites. It reflects. That's all it does. And it does it perfectly. If you look into it expecting love and carry deep resentment or self-doubt, it cannot lie to you. It will reflect your doubts. Not to mock you, but to show you what you are carrying. And once you see it, you can release it. You can revise it. You can replace it with something true, something alive, something that reflects the beauty and divinity of who you truly are. But this requires honesty. You must be willing to take responsibility for your inner world. You must stop blaming others for what you have the power to change. That doesn't mean what others did was right. It means that holding on to a reflection of pain keeps you bound to it. The only way to break free is to shift your state, to look into the mirror with a new image, a healed image, a powerful image, a true image. And what is that image? It is the you that knows they are loved, worthy, and whole. It is the you that no longer needs to prove anything. It is the you that remembers your identity is not formed by what others said, but by what you accept. This version of you does not beg for change. They become the change. They look into the mirror and smile, not because of what they see, but because of what they know. They know the mirror must reflect them, and they have chosen to be someone different. This is the secret. You must become it before you see it. You must feel it before you touch it. You must live from it before the world can mirror it back. That is not denial. That is divine alignment. That is the power of consciousness. The world cannot give you what you are unwilling to first become within. Start small. If you want to be respected, begin by respecting yourself in thought. Speak to yourself with honor. Walk with dignity. Imagine people responding to you with admiration, not once but repeatedly. Saturate your mind with that image, and life, without fail, will begin to mirror that respect. Not always from the same people, but from somewhere, somehow, it will appear. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. If you want love, stop searching for it outside yourself. Begin to embody love. Love your own presence. Love your breath, your being, your essence. Love the way you move through life, and then imagine scenes where you are embraced, seen, cherished. Allow the feeling of being loved to rise within you, and let that feeling grow until it becomes your resting place. Then watch how the mirror begins to change. Do not worry about how long it takes. Do not look at the clock. Time is not your master. The moment you shift your state, the mirror begins to adjust. Sometimes the reflection lags. That's not failure, it's momentum catching up. Keep looking at yourself through the lens of truth. Keep choosing the version of you that aligns with your desire, and the mirror will have no choice but to catch up. This is not theory, it is spiritual law. You are not a victim of life. You are the cause. You are not hoping for change. You are producing it. With every thought, every assumption, every feeling, you are broadcasting a signal. And the world is the echo of that signal. If you don't like what you're hearing, change the song. Don't scream at the mirror, adjust your reflection. This understanding frees you. It ends the need to control others. It ends the obsession with circumstances. It brings you back to your center, to the place of power that never left you. You realize that the most important work you can do is inner work. That changing the mirror means changing yourself, not fixing or improving, but realigning with your truest self. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You are simply being mirrored back the identity you've chosen, consciously or unconsciously. So choose wisely. Choose boldly. Choose the image that reflects your divine nature, not your wounded past, and then dwell in that image. Live from that image, and the world in perfect obedience will reflect it back to you with grace, with beauty, and with unshakable truth. You are not waiting for success, you are living in it now. The moment you accept this truth, the world around you begins to shift. Everything you desire, everything you have longed for is already in motion toward you. But you must embody the state of the one who has already received it. You must think, feel, and act as if it is already yours. There is no separation between you and the life you seek. The only thing that stands in the way is your awareness of it. If you persist in seeing yourself as one who is striving, as one who is waiting, you will remain in that state. But the instant you assume the feeling of your greatest success, the universe bends to match your inner world. You are not here to chase after what you want, you are here to claim it as yours. Do not look to the outside world for proof. The world is simply a reflection of what you hold within. If you believe your success is still far away, it will remain distant. But if you step into the identity of the one who has already arrived, the world will align accordingly. Feel the power of certainty. Walk with the confidence of one whose success is inevitable. Change nothing on the outside, shift everything on the inside. When you speak, speak as the one who already knows the outcome. When you move, move as the one whose vision has already materialized. When you wake in the morning, wake with the joy of one who has already received. This is not about pretending, it is about knowing. It is about being. Reality conforms to imagination. What you accept as true in your mind, your world must reflect. So decide now, choose the feeling of your greatest success. Live in it, breathe in it, move from it. Do not wait for a sign, be the sign. And as surely as night turns to day, the world will reveal to you what you have dared to claim. The greatest secret to achieving anything you desire is to live in the end. To live in the end means to dwell in the feeling of already having what you seek. It is not about wishing or hoping, but about knowing that what you want is already yours. The mind is the only reality, and what you persistently occupy in thought and feeling must be reflected in the world around you. When you accept this truth, you no longer see yourself as separate from your success. You no longer view it as something distant or something you must chase. Instead, you step into the identity of the one who already has it, and from that state, the world must respond accordingly. Most people believe that success is something they must work tirelessly to achieve, something that exists outside of them, waiting to be earned. They put in the effort, they struggle, they sacrifice, all the while feeling like they are moving toward their goal. But in reality, they are reinforcing the idea that what they want is not yet here. They are strengthening the state of wanting rather than having. They think their circumstances determine their beliefs, when in truth it is their beliefs that shape their circumstances. To live in the end means to bypass this cycle. It means to reject the illusion of lack and instead embrace the certainty that your success has already been secured. This is not about pretending or wishful thinking. It is not about fooling yourself into believing something that isn't real. It is about shifting your consciousness to align with what you desire. If you desire wealth, do not dwell in the feeling of lack or limitation. Instead, assume the mindset of one who is already prosperous. How does such a person think? How do they feel when they wake up in the morning? How do they move through life? The key is to fully embody that state, to carry yourself with the assurance that it is already done. If you plant a seed, you do not question whether it will grow. You do not dig it up each day to check if it is sprouting. You water it, you nurture it, and you trust that the process is unfolding as it should. The same principle applies to manifestation. Once you have assumed the state of your desire, once you have entered into the feeling of already having it, you must trust that the world will arrange itself to bring it to you. There is no need for force, no need for struggle. The moment you accept something as real within your mind, the outer world has no choice but to conform. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for proof before they believe. They look around and see no evidence of their success, so they conclude that it is not happening. But reality is simply a delayed reflection of your inner state. What you experience today is the result of past assumptions. If you continue to wait for signs before you believe, you will remain stuck in the cycle of waiting. Instead, you must act as though it is already true. Speak with the authority of one who has already achieved what they desire. Feel the joy, the confidence, the gratitude of having received it. When you hold on to that state, it becomes inevitable. Doubt is the only thing that can delay your manifestation. The moment you entertain thoughts of uncertainty, the moment you question whether it will happen, you undo the very foundation you have built. This is why discipline of the mind is so crucial. You must train yourself to remain faithful to your vision, no matter what the outside world appears to show you. Circumstances do not matter. They are nothing more than the past playing itself out. What matters is where you place your focus now, because that is what will determine what comes next. The law is absolute. The state you dwell in consistently is the reality you will experience. If you live in the state of already having your success, it must become your reality. It does not matter where you are now, what obstacles seem to be in the way, or what anyone else says. The only thing that matters is your conviction. You must see yourself as already having arrived, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Feel it so deeply that there is no room for doubt. And when the world catches up to reflect that truth, you will look back and realize that it was never about chasing success. It was about becoming the person who already had it. Your inner world is the foundation of everything you experience. The thoughts you entertain, the beliefs you hold, and the emotions you nurture shape the reality that unfolds before you. Everything in your external world is simply a reflection of what exists within. Nothing happens by chance, and nothing appears in your life without first being impressed upon your consciousness. If you wish to change your reality, you must first change your inner state. The outer world is not something separate from you. It is a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you what you persistently assume to be true. Many people believe that circumstances dictate their thoughts and feelings. They look at their current situation and conclude that they must respond to it. If they see failure, they feel discouraged. If they experience lack, they dwell in thoughts of limitation. But this is the great misunderstanding that keeps them bound to the same conditions. They do not realize that their outer world is only a projection of their past thoughts. What they experience today is merely the result of the state they occupied yesterday. And if they continue to react to what they see, they only perpetuate the same cycle. To break free, they must reverse the process. Instead of allowing circumstances to shape their thoughts, they must allow their thoughts to shape their circumstances. Everything you desire already exists in the unseen. The moment you conceive of a new reality in your mind, it becomes a living possibility. But for it to take form in your external world, you must dwell in the state of its fulfillment. The world does not give you what you want, it gives you who you are. And who you are is determined by the thoughts you nurture and the feelings you consistently embody. If you dwell in a state of doubt and fear, your reality will reflect uncertainty and obstacles. But if you live in a state of confidence and certainty, the world will arrange itself to match that vibration. Your dominant state of mind determines what you experience. It is not enough to simply think positively for a moment or visualize success occasionally. You must persist in the feeling of already having what you desire. You must saturate your mind with the conviction that it is already yours. The moment you make this shift, the world begins to rearrange itself. People, events, and circumstances start aligning in ways you could not have planned. This is not coincidence, it is the natural law at work. You are always attracting what you believe to be true, whether you are conscious of it or not. Most people live unconsciously, allowing the world to dictate their state of mind. They react to what they see, unaware that they have the power to change it by changing their inner world. But the few who understand this truth take control of their reality. They do not wait for circumstances to improve before they feel successful. They feel successful first, and then circumstances align. They do not wait for evidence before believing. They believe first, and then the evidence appears. This is the key to mastery. Your emotions are a powerful indicator of the state you are dwelling in. If you constantly feel anxious, frustrated, or powerless, it is because you are holding on to thoughts that reinforce those feelings. But the moment you shift your inner state, your emotions change, and your reality must follow. If you choose to dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, you will begin to experience joy, peace, and confidence. And as you sustain that feeling, the world will reflect it back to you in the form of success, abundance, and opportunity. Nothing is fixed. The world is not solid and unchanging. It is fluid and malleable, shaped by the consciousness that observes it. What you see today is only the result of past assumptions. If you do not like what you see, change your assumptions. If you desire a new reality, step into the feeling of it now. Live from the end, knowing that the outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner transformation. It is not a question of if, it is only a question of when. The moment you fully accept your new state as reality, the world begins to shift. Doubt delays manifestation. Every time you question whether your desire will come to pass, you place yourself in the state of not having it. And as long as you occupy that state, the outer world must reflect that lack. The key is to remain steadfast in your inner vision, even when there is no physical evidence to support it. Do not waver, do not seek signs, be the sign. Feel the truth of your desire as if it is already done, and know that the outer world must conform. Your reality is not happening to you, it is happening because of you. Nothing outside of you has any power over your destiny. You are the creator, and your consciousness is the blueprint. The moment you align your inner world with the reality you desire, the physical world will mirror it back to you. There is no other way. The law is absolute and it works without fail. You are not here to react to the world, you are here to create it. And the moment you fully embrace this truth, your life will begin to reflect the limitless power that has always been within you. Your actions, thoughts, and emotions must align with the reality you desire, not the one you wish to escape. Every moment you are embodying a state of being, and that state determines what unfolds in your life. If you wish to experience your biggest success, you must stop acting like someone who is struggling, doubtful, or waiting for things to change. Instead, you must carry yourself as though your success is inevitable. You must think, feel, and behave as if everything you desire is already unfolding in perfect order. Many believe they must first achieve their success before they can feel like a successful person. They wait for external validation before they allow themselves to feel the confidence, joy, and security that come with accomplishment. But this is an illusion. The world does not work that way. Success is not something you attain and then feel. It is something you feel first, and then it manifests outwardly. If you wait for proof before you believe, you will remain in a state of waiting indefinitely. Instead, you must shift your identity now. Imagine for a moment that your success is already here. Close your eyes and step into that reality in your mind. How does it feel? How do you carry yourself? How do you think and behave each day? The version of you that has already succeeded does not wake up doubting whether things will work out. That version of you does not hesitate, does not feel unworthy, does not seek reassurance. That version of you moves with certainty, knowing that success is the only outcome. You must become that version of yourself now. Not tomorrow, not when things look promising, now. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts what you impress upon it and seeks to make it your reality. This is why assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled is the most powerful thing you can do. If you persist in that feeling, your outer world must reshape itself to reflect it. There is no other possibility. The world is a mirror, and it will always conform to the assumptions you hold to be true. This is why faith is not passive, it is active. Faith is not hoping that things will work out. It is knowing that they already have. Faith is not waiting for signs, it is being the sign. When you act in accordance with your fulfilled desire, you are demonstrating to the universe that you have already received it. And because the outer world follows the inner world, your reality must shift to match your new state. Most people sabotage their success because they continue acting like their old selves. They say they want change, yet they hold on to the same habits, the same thoughts, the same emotional reactions. They say they believe in their vision, yet they continue to operate from a place of fear and doubt. This contradiction creates resistance. It tells the subconscious mind that they are still the person who lacks, and so their reality reflects that lack. If they would simply let go of their old identity and fully embody the version of themselves that has already succeeded, everything would shift effortlessly. Consider the way a truly successful person walks into a room. They do not shrink, they do not hesitate, they do not second-guess themselves. They move with purpose, with assurance, with the energy of someone who belongs. They do not look for permission to succeed, they assume success is already theirs. If you want to step into that reality, you must embody that same energy now, even if the world around you does not yet reflect it. You must persist in the assumption that it is already true. Your actions must be in alignment with your new identity. If you truly believed in your success, what would you be doing today? Would you be hesitating, procrastinating, doubting yourself? Or would you be taking inspired action, trusting that every step is leading you exactly where you need to be? The way you behave each day is a direct reflection of the state you are dwelling in. If your actions are still rooted in fear, lack, or uncertainty, you are reinforcing the very reality you are trying to escape. But if your actions are aligned with confidence, certainty, and the knowing that your success is inevitable, you will draw that reality towards you effortlessly. This does not mean forcing things to happen. Acting as if your success is on the way does not mean frantically trying to control everything. It does not mean striving, struggling, or pushing against resistance. It means surrendering to the truth that your success is already yours. It means moving through life with the calm assurance that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When you carry that energy, the right opportunities, people, and circumstances naturally align with you. You do not have to chase anything. What is meant for you will be drawn to you. Doubt is the only thing that can disrupt this process. If you allow yourself to question whether things will work out, you shift back into the state of lack. You must be unwavering in your assumption. No matter what the outer world shows you, no matter how things appear in the moment, you must hold on to the feeling of success. It may seem like nothing is happening at first, but that is only because reality takes time to reorganize itself. The shift is happening the moment you change your state. If you persist, what was once unseen will become seen. Everything you desire is already within you. You do not need to search for it outside of yourself. The only thing standing between you and your success is the version of yourself you have been holding on to. Let go of that old identity. Step into the version of you that already has what you seek. Move, speak, and think from that place, and the world will have no choice but to reflect your new reality back to you. It has always been this way. It will always be this way. Your imagination is the birthplace of all creation. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything that exists in your world was once only an idea, a thought, a vision in someone's mind. The invisible always precedes the visible, and your reality is no exception. If you desire success, you must first create it internally. It is not something you chase or acquire. It is something you assume, embody, and live in before it takes shape in the physical world. You are always creating, whether you are aware of it or not. The question is, are you creating consciously, or are you allowing old patterns and doubts to shape your world? You cannot expect success while holding on to thoughts of failure. You cannot hope for abundance while seeing yourself as lacking. What you dwell upon internally is what you will inevitably experience externally. If you allow yourself to entertain ideas of limitation, hardship, and struggle, those ideas will materialize in your life. But if you hold firmly to the belief that your success is not only possible, but already unfolding, then success must become your reality. The mind, like fertile soil, will grow whatever is planted in it. The only question is, what are you planting? The most powerful tool you possess is your ability to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled. This is the secret that shapes your entire existence. What you feel to be real within you becomes real outside of you. If you were already successful, how would you think? How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? If you can answer these questions, you have the key to transformation. The moment you claim success within yourself, it begins to take form in your world. You must persist in that assumption until the physical world catches up with your inner state. Most people look at their external conditions and allow those conditions to dictate what they believe. They see lack, so they believe in lack. They see delays, so they believe in delays. They see struggle, so they believe in struggle. But this is the opposite of how creation works. The outer world is only a reflection of what has already been assumed internally. If you wish to change the reflection, you must change the cause. The cause is always within you. Do not wait for evidence before you believe. Believe and the evidence will follow. Doubt is the greatest enemy of creation. The moment you allow uncertainty to enter your mind, you halt the process. The moment you question whether your success is coming, you step back into the state of someone who does not have it. And because your world reflects your state, it will continue to show you reasons to doubt. This cycle can only be broken when you refuse to entertain anything other than certainty. You must remain unwavering in your assumption. You must live as though your success is already here, no matter what your current circumstances suggest. Imagination is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is not something to be dismissed or overlooked. It is not daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is the creative power that shapes your reality. When you close your eyes and envision yourself in the life you desire, you are not merely picturing something far away. You are stepping into that reality. If you can hold on to that vision with faith, it will solidify into your world. But if you waver, if you let go of that vision because you do not yet see proof, then you abandon the creative process before it is complete. Think of a seed planted in the earth. The moment it is placed in the soil, the process of growth begins. But in the early stages, there is no visible sign of change. If someone were impatient and dug up the seed every day to check its progress, they would disrupt its growth. The same principle applies to your manifestations. If you are constantly checking, doubting, and questioning, you delay the process. You must trust that the moment you plant the seed of success in your mind, the growth has begun. Even if you cannot yet see it, it is happening. Your only task is to nourish it with unwavering belief. Those who succeed do not wait for evidence to appear before they believe. They believe first, and the evidence comes as a result. They do not allow their present circumstances to dictate what is possible. They know that what is seen is temporary, but what is held in the mind with conviction is eternal. They live in their success before it materializes, and because they persist in that assumption, their world must shift to reflect it. There is no difference between you and those who have achieved great things except for one thing. They believed when there was no proof. They assumed success was theirs even when the world told them otherwise. They did not let circumstances dictate their reality. They dictated their reality to circumstances. They refused to waver, and so the world had no choice but to conform to their assumption. You must do the same. Your imagination is the blueprint of your life. Whatever you consistently see in your mind, whatever you emotionally connect with, whatever you persist in assuming, this is what will become real for you. If you assume struggle, you will live in struggle. If you assume ease, you will live in ease. If you assume success, you will live in success. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of them. The moment you accept this truth, you reclaim your power. There is no power outside of you that determines your success. No external force can withhold what you have claimed internally. The only thing that determines your reality is the state you dwell in. And the state you dwell in is determined by what you assume to be true. Assume success, and you will see success. Assume failure, and you will see failure. It is that simple. Many make the mistake of thinking they must work harder, push more, or struggle their way to success. They believe that through sheer effort they will force their reality to change. But success is not the result of effort alone. It is the result of assumption. The one who assumes success is carried to it effortlessly, while the one who doubts must fight every step of the way. Your state of being determines whether the journey is filled with ease or resistance. If you wish to transform your life, you must first transform your mind. You must think only from the place of the person who has already achieved their dreams. You must remove all thoughts that contradict that reality. Every time doubt creeps in, reject it. Every time fear whispers that you are not good enough, ignore it. Every time circumstances try to convince you that success is far away, refuse to believe it. Stand firm in the assumption that your success is already done, and the world will adjust itself accordingly. This is not wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law of creation. The outer world always follows the inner world. If you remain faithful to your vision, it must become real. Nothing can stop it except your own wavering mind. But if you persist, if you truly live in the end of your success, then it will unfold in ways beyond your imagination. It is not a matter of if, it is only a matter of when. The world you experience is only a reflection of the state you occupy. There is no randomness in what appears before you. Everything is a manifestation of the assumptions you have accepted as true. If you wish to change your life, you must first change your inner state. There is no other way. Trying to manipulate the outer world without first shifting your consciousness is like attempting to change the reflection in a mirror without altering the object it reflects. The mirror will only ever show you what you already are. Everything you desire already exists. It is not something you must chase, struggle for, or force into being. It exists in a dimension of possibility, waiting for you to claim it. You do not need to create success. It is already yours, in the realm of assumption. The only thing required of you is to step into the state where success is natural, where it is inevitable. The moment you embody that state, the world must rearrange itself to reflect it. This is the law. You must practice occupying the state of success until it becomes your dwelling place. Every moment of the day you are shifting between states. You move between confidence and doubt, between certainty and fear, between expectation and worry. Each shift in state alters the world you interact with. If you remain in a state of lack, if you dwell in the state of success, you will meet with opportunities, ideas, and events that confirm your success. There is no need to struggle. There is only the need to assume. The question is not whether you will become successful, but whether you are willing to believe in your success before the evidence appears. Most people wait for proof before they believe. But this is backward thinking. Success is not something that happens to you. It is something that emerges from within you. It is the result of a shift in consciousness, not an external event. If you continue to wait for evidence before changing your belief, you will remain in the same place indefinitely. To assume the state of success, you must rid yourself of every thought and feeling that contradicts it. You cannot carry doubt and faith in the same heart. You cannot believe in your inevitable success while entertaining thoughts of failure. The two states are incompatible. You must choose, and once you choose, you must persist. If you waver, if you allow circumstances to dictate your belief, then you will continue to manifest uncertainty. But if you remain unwavering, success must come. The world does not resist you, it does not conspire against you, it simply reflects you. If you believe things are difficult, they will be. If you believe obstacles will arise, they will. If you assume success flows easily, it will. The external world is not your master, it is your servant. It obeys the command of your assumptions. But most people do not realize they are giving commands. They believe they are at the mercy of circumstances, when in truth, circumstances are only responding to the assumptions they have impressed upon their subconscious mind. Your job is not to concern yourself with how success will unfold. The mind, conditioned by years of doubt, will always ask, how will it happen? When will it happen? What if it doesn't happen? But these are questions of limitation, questions of fear. The moment you ask how, you reveal that you do not yet believe. If you truly lived in the state of success, would you ask how? Would you worry about when? Or would you simply know that it is done? When you plant a seed, do you question whether it will grow? Do you dig it up every day to check its progress? Or do you trust that the process is unfolding, even when you cannot yet see the results? You must treat your assumptions in the same way. The moment you assume success, it is done, the process has begun. Your only task is to persist in that assumption, to nourish it with faith, to refuse to entertain any thought that contradicts it. The world will test you. It will present you with moments that seem to contradict your assumption. Not because it is against you, but because it is responding to the state you previously occupied. The remnants of your old beliefs may still linger in the form of temporary conditions, This is where most people give up. They see a challenge and they assume their assumption was wrong. They waver, they doubt, they abandon the state of success, and in doing so they return to their previous reality. But the one who truly understands will persist. They will see past appearances, knowing that the world is simply reshaping itself. They will refuse to be swayed by temporary conditions, for they know that these conditions are only the echoes of an old state. They will remain steadfast, confident, and unmoved, knowing that what they have assumed is already true. And because they persist, their assumption must harden into fact. There is no need for struggle, for effort, or for force. These are the habits of those who do not yet understand the law. Success is not something you chase, it is something you become. And once you become it, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. You will meet the right people, hear the right words, and take the right actions. Not because you forced them, but because they are the natural outflow of your state. This is why some people seem to succeed effortlessly while others struggle for years without progress. The difference is not in their actions, but in their state. One assumes success is their natural condition, and so it flows to them with ease. The other assumes struggle, and so they must fight for every inch. The law is impersonal. It does not favor one person over another. It simply reflects back to each what they assume to be true. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You do not need to explain, justify, or seek approval. Your success is already assured the moment you claim it internally. The world may not see it yet, but you must see it. The world may not believe it yet, but you must believe it. And when you do, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what you already know. The moment you wake up in the morning, dwell in the state of success. Feel it as though it were already done. Walk through your day as if your success were inevitable. Speak, act, and think from that place. Every time doubt arises, reject it immediately. Every time fear whispers that it will not happen, silence it with the certainty that it already has. Do not allow old assumptions to creep back in. They have no power unless you grant them power. There is no force outside of you that determines your destiny. No external event, no circumstance, no other person has the power to dictate your success. The only force that matters is the assumption you hold within yourself. Assume you are successful and you will be. Assume you are struggling and you will struggle. The choice is yours. The mind may try to complicate this process, to add unnecessary steps, to analyze and overthink. But the truth is simple. Assume and persist. That is all. The moment you claim success as your present reality, the world begins to conform. The process is already set in motion. Nothing can stop it except your own doubt. But if you remain unwavering, if you refuse to entertain anything other than the certainty of your success, then it must become your reality. It is not a question of if, it is only a matter of when. Everything begins in the mind. You are not separate from the reality you experience, you are its creator. The world you see is nothing more than the reflection of your inner state. If you desire a new reality, you must assume it is already yours. You must act as if you are already blessed with everything you seek. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Feel the thrill of your desire fulfilled. How would it feel if you were already living the life you long for? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? The moment you adopt this state, you align yourself with the reality where your wish is already granted. It is not about waiting, it is about knowing. The world responds to the certainty within you. When you look around and see the opposite of what you want, do not be deceived. The outer world is merely an echo of past assumptions. It is not fixed, nor is it your master. It is your servant, reshaping itself according to the impressions you accept as true. Let the old pass away. Occupy the feeling of your desire being real and persist in it, no matter what the senses claim. The secret is not in struggle, but in surrender, surrendering to the feeling of already being who you wish to be. It is not about forcing things to happen. It is about allowing them to unfold naturally, because you have already claimed them within. You do not need permission from the world to be blessed. You need only the conviction within yourself. When you act as if you are already blessed, you are not pretending, you are creating. The world will soon follow, conforming itself to the assumption you hold. Persist in the knowing that what you seek is already yours, and watch as life bends to mirror the state you have dared to assume. Everything you experience in life is a direct reflection of your inner state. The world is not something separate from you, nor is it happening to you. It is responding to you. Every thought you persistently entertain, every feeling you consistently hold, every belief you accept as true, these are the forces shaping your reality. If you desire change, it must begin within. The outer world is merely an echo, a mirror reflecting the assumptions you hold at the deepest level of your being. Most people believe their circumstances dictate how they feel, but the truth is the opposite. Your inner world, your state of consciousness is the cause, and what you see outside of you is the effect. It may appear that events are happening independently, that life is unfolding according to some external force. But in reality, it is being shaped by your dominant thoughts and emotions. When you truly grasp this, you realize the incredible power you hold. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the creator of them. If you feel lack, if you focus on what you do not have, you will continue to experience more of the same. The world does not give you what you want, it gives you who you are. Who you are is determined by what you dwell upon mentally and emotionally. If you constantly think from a place of insufficiency, from a mindset that says, I don't have enough, I need more, then that is precisely what will be reflected in your experience. However, the moment you shift your state and assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you set in motion an entirely different sequence of events. Think of it as planting seeds. Your mind is the fertile soil, and your thoughts and feelings are the seeds you plant. If you constantly sow seeds of fear, doubt, and lack, you cannot expect to harvest abundance and joy. You must become conscious of what you are planting. When you fill your mind with the feeling of having already received your desires, when you assume the state of abundance, love, or success, you are planting seeds that must, in time, bear fruit. Many people make the mistake of looking at their current circumstances and allowing what they see to dictate what they believe. They think, I don't have enough money, and so they continue to feel lack. They say, I haven't found love, and so they dwell in loneliness. But this approach only reinforces the very reality they want to change. The key is to shift from observing to creating. Instead of reacting to the world as it is, begin responding to the world as you wish it to be. Assume the inner state of already having your desires, and reality will have no choice but to conform. This is not about wishful thinking or daydreaming without purpose. It is about a deep, inner conviction and knowing that what you desire is already yours. When you feel as though you already possess what you seek, you emit a different energy, and the world rearranges itself to reflect this new state. You do not need to see immediate evidence, you need only to persist in your assumption. Have you ever noticed how people who expect good things to happen seem to attract them effortlessly? It is not because they are lucky, it is because they have trained themselves to expect abundance, love, or success. They have assumed an inner state that allows these experiences to flow into their lives naturally. Likewise, those who expect misfortune often find themselves in a cycle of struggle. They unknowingly reinforce their reality by continually dwelling in a state of fear and negativity. Your inner state is a frequency, like a radio signal. If you want to experience wealth, you must tune into the frequency of wealth. If you want to experience love, you must tune into the frequency of love. The way you do this is by feeling as if you already have what you desire. This is the secret most people miss. They think they must wait until their circumstances change to feel happy, successful, or secure. But the truth is, you must first embody the feeling, and then the world will align accordingly. Consider the example of someone who desires financial abundance. If they constantly worry about money, if they feel stressed every time they think about their finances, they are broadcasting a signal of lack. Even if they work hard and strive for success, their inner state contradicts their desires, and so they continue to struggle. But if they shift their focus, if they begin to feel abundant even before their circumstances change, they will notice a transformation. New opportunities will appear, doors will open, and they will find themselves moving effortlessly toward prosperity. The same principle applies to relationships. If someone believes they are unworthy of love, If they feel lonely and undesirable, they will continue to attract situations that reinforce these feelings. But the moment they shift their state and begin to feel loved, valued, and cherished even before anyone physically enters their life, they change their frequency. They start radiating a new energy, and as a result, the right people are drawn to them. This is why acting as if you are already blessed is so powerful. It is not about pretending, it is about aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to experience. When you feel blessed, when you walk through life with the deep knowing that everything you desire is already yours, you send out a powerful signal. The world cannot help but respond in kind. There is no need to wait for external proof. The proof comes after you have shifted within. You must persist in the feeling of being blessed, even if your senses tell you otherwise. If you look around and see the opposite of what you want, remind yourself that the outer world is simply a delayed reflection. What you see today is the result of past thoughts and feelings, but what you choose to feel now is creating your future. Many struggle with this because they allow doubt to creep in. They think, what if nothing changes? What if I am just deceiving myself? But these thoughts only serve to reinforce the current reality. You must replace doubt with certainty. Assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, and do not waver. The moment you entertain doubt, you shift back into the state of lack. The key is persistence. Just as a seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, your assumptions take time to materialize. You must nurture them, water them with faith, and protect them from the weeds of negative thinking. The longer you sustain the feeling of being blessed, the stronger your new reality becomes. You may wonder how long it will take for change to appear. The answer lies in how fully you embrace the new state. The more naturally you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, the faster it manifests. It is not about effort, it is about acceptance. When you truly accept that you are already blessed, the world reflects this truth effortlessly. This understanding transforms everything. You no longer wait for life to improve, you improve your inner state first and life follows. You stop seeking validation from the outside world and start cultivating a deep, unwavering belief within. You realize that the power has always been in your hands, that your thoughts and feelings are the architects of your destiny. When you master this, you move through life with a quiet confidence. You no longer chase after what you want, you attract it. You no longer react to circumstances, you create them. You no longer feel at the mercy of the world, you command it with the power of your assumptions. And so the question is not whether you will be blessed. The question is, will you dare to assume that you already are? To bring your desires into reality, you must first live in the end. This means you must assume, with absolute certainty, that what you want is already yours. Not in the distant future, not as a possibility, but as a fact. You must move beyond hoping and wishing and instead step into the feeling of already having what you desire. It is not about waiting for evidence, it is about becoming the version of yourself that already possesses it. Your imagination is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The world you experience is shaped by the state you occupy within yourself. If you continue to act, think, and feel as if you are separate from your desires, they will remain out of reach. But the moment you assume them as present realities, the outer world begins to shift. Reality is not something that happens to you, it is something that flows from you. The key to living in the end is feeling. Thought alone is not enough. You must feel as though your wish is already fulfilled. How would you feel if you were already living the life you dream of? How would you think, walk, and interact with the world? Would you move with confidence, speak with assurance, and carry yourself with joy? If you can assume this state in your mind, you are planting the seed for its physical manifestation. Most people live from a place of lack. They wait for external circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel happy, successful, or at peace. They believe that once they have money, then they will feel wealthy. Once they find love, then they will feel loved. But this is the opposite of how creation works. The feeling must come first. You must feel wealthy before wealth appears. You must feel love before love finds you. The outer world is only an effect, the cause is always within. If you desire success, you must begin to think and act as if you are already successful. You must make decisions from the perspective of someone who has already achieved their goals. When faced with challenges, ask yourself, how would the person I wish to become respond to this? Embodying this version of yourself in thought and feeling ensures that your external world will align accordingly. Some may question whether this is simply pretending, but living in the end is not about deception, it is about creation. When a sculptor envisions a masterpiece, they do not see a block of stone. They see the completed work before a single tool is lifted. The masterpiece already exists in their mind, and through their belief, it becomes real. In the same way, when you assume the feeling of already having your desire, you are shaping the unseen into the seen. Doubt is the greatest obstacle to this practice. Many people will assume a new state for a moment, but then they look around and see no immediate change. They let their senses deceive them into thinking nothing is happening. But the outer world is a delayed reflection of the inner world. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your assumptions take time to solidify into reality. The key is persistence. You must train yourself to remain faithful to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even when the world shows you the opposite. If you react to appearances, you are allowing the present reflection to dictate your future. Instead, hold firm to the assumption that what you seek is already yours. If doubt arises, remind yourself that what you see now is only the result of past thinking. It has no power over what you are creating now. A powerful technique to reinforce this assumption is visualization. Close your eyes and step into the scene of your fulfilled desire. See the world as you would if your wish were already a reality. Feel the emotions that come with it. Experience the details vividly. What do you hear, smell, and touch in this new reality? The more real you can make this experience in your mind, the faster it will take shape in the physical world. Another method is inner dialogue. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself. If your inner conversations are filled with doubt, worry, or frustration, you are reinforcing a state of lack. Instead, begin speaking to yourself as if your desires have already come to pass. Affirm to yourself that you are already living the life you desire. Say, I am successful. I am prosperous. I am deeply loved. The words you repeat internally shape your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your world. This shift in consciousness may feel unnatural at first. Years of conditioning have taught most people to believe only in what they can see. But the truth is, the unseen creates the seen. If you can master the ability to dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will find that life begins to mold itself around your assumption. Think of a person who desires to be in a loving relationship. If they focus on loneliness, they reinforce the state of being alone. They walk through life feeling incomplete, and as a result, they continue to experience situations that confirm their belief. But if they begin to assume the feeling of being loved, their world begins to change. They radiate confidence and warmth, and as they persist in this state, love finds them effortlessly. The same applies to financial abundance. If a person constantly worries about money, they remain in a state of lack. They make choices from a place of fear, and opportunities seem scarce. But when they assume the state of already being wealthy, when they walk with the confidence of someone who has all they need, new possibilities arise. Their energy shifts, their decisions become bolder, and prosperity follows. Living in the end is not about waiting for evidence. It is about embodying the feeling now. If you act as though your desire is still distant, it will remain distant. But if you act as though it is already yours, the world will rearrange itself to make it so. The key is to persist, even when reality appears unchanged. If you planted a seed today, you would not dig it up tomorrow to check if it is growing. You would trust that beneath the surface it is taking root. In the same way, trust that your assumptions are working, even if you see no immediate results. Every moment, you have the choice to live in the end or to dwell in limitation. If you catch yourself slipping into doubt, gently return to the feeling of already having your desire. With time, this practice becomes second nature, and what once felt impossible begins to unfold effortlessly. You do not need to force change. You do not need to struggle. You only need to assume, feel, and persist. The moment you truly accept that your desire is already yours, the universe responds in kind. The world around you is a reflection of the world within you. If you want to change your external circumstances, you must first change the way you see yourself. Your assumptions shape your reality whether you are aware of it or not. The state you dwell in, the thoughts you repeatedly entertain, and the emotions you hold on to all contribute to the unfolding of your life. Most people believe that change happens from the outside in. They think that if they acquire more money, they will feel abundant. If they find a loving relationship, they will feel whole. If they achieve success, they will finally feel worthy. But this is an illusion. The truth is that change happens from the inside out. You must first assume the feeling of abundance before wealth appears. You must first feel love before love manifests. You must first feel successful before success is drawn to you. Your identity is the foundation of your reality. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will continue to struggle. If you see yourself as someone who is always lucky, opportunities will seem to appear effortlessly. The way you define yourself determines the experiences you attract. You cannot consistently experience something that contradicts your core identity. This is why merely wishing for change is not enough. You must become the person who already has what you desire. To shift your self-concept, you must first become aware of the beliefs that are shaping your life. What do you tell yourself on a daily basis? Do you see yourself as someone who is always overlooked? Or as someone who is deeply valued? Do you see yourself as struggling to get by or as someone who naturally attracts wealth? Your assumptions about yourself are constantly being reflected in your reality. If you want to change what you experience, you must change the way you see yourself. The fastest way to shift your self-concept is through feeling. You must feel as though you already are the person you wish to become. If you desire confidence, you must feel confident now. If you desire success, you must feel successful now. This is not about forcing emotions, it is about allowing yourself to step into a new state of being. When you align your feelings with the reality you desire, the world will conform to match your inner state. Most people hold on to limiting beliefs without realizing it. They assume that change is difficult, that success is rare, or that they are not worthy of love. But these are just beliefs, ideas they have accepted as true. The moment they choose a new belief, their world begins to shift. Reality is fluid, always responding to the assumptions you hold. The moment you change your inner dialogue, you change your external experiences. One of the most powerful tools for shifting your self-concept is visualization. When you close your eyes and see yourself as already being the person you wish to become, you are impressing this new identity onto your subconscious mind. The more vividly you imagine this version of yourself, the more real it becomes. Your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts whatever you repeatedly impress upon it. Another technique is mental rehearsal. Throughout your day, imagine yourself responding to life as your ideal self. If you desire confidence, imagine how you would walk, speak, and carry yourself. If you desire success, imagine how you would approach opportunities and challenges. By mentally rehearsing these scenarios, you are training your mind to accept this new identity as reality. Inner dialogue also plays a crucial role in shaping your self-concept. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Are your thoughts filled with self-doubt, or do they reinforce confidence and worthiness? If you catch yourself thinking in ways that do not align with your desired identity, gently shift your thoughts. Replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," affirm, "I am more than capable." Instead of thinking, "I never have enough," declare, "Abundance flows to me effortlessly." This process requires persistence. You may not see immediate changes, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Just as a seed takes time to grow beneath the soil before breaking through the surface, your new self-concept is taking root. The key is to remain consistent in your assumptions, regardless of what your current reality looks like. Many people give up too soon because they allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They look around and see no evidence of change, so they assume their efforts are not working. But the external world is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you react to the old reflection, you reinforce it. Instead, persist in your new self-concept until the world has no choice but to conform. When you embody the identity of someone who already has what they desire, you naturally begin to act in alignment with that reality. Your decisions change, your behavior shifts, and opportunities begin to present themselves in ways you could not have predicted. This is not coincidence, it is the direct result of your inner transformation. Consider someone who has always struggled with money. If they continue to see themselves as someone who barely gets by, their actions will reflect this belief. They may hesitate to take risks, avoid new opportunities, or make decisions from a place of fear. But if they shift their self-concept to that of a wealthy person, everything changes. They begin to see opportunities where they once saw obstacles. They take bolder actions, make smarter choices, and attract financial abundance with ease. The same principle applies to love. If someone sees themselves as unworthy of love, they will unconsciously push love away. They may sabotage relationships, settle for less than they deserve, or fear being vulnerable. But if they shift their self-concept to that of someone who is deeply loved and cherished, their entire experience of relationships changes. They attract partners who treat them with respect, they radiate confidence, and love flows into their life naturally. Everything begins with the way you see yourself. If you want to change your life, you must change your self-concept. This does not mean waiting for external validation, it means assuming your new identity now. The moment you fully accept this new version of yourself, the world has no choice but to reflect it. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to struggle. You only need to assume, feel, and persist. The moment you truly embody the person who already has what you desire, reality rearranges itself to match your assumption. Your imagination is the foundation of your reality. Everything you have ever experienced, everything you are experiencing now, and everything you will ever experience is shaped by the images you hold in your mind. What you consistently imagine, whether consciously or unconsciously, sets the course of your life. The world does not happen to you by chance. It is the outpicturing of the beliefs and assumptions you carry within you. Most people believe that their circumstances dictate their state of mind, but this is not true. It is not your outer world that shapes your thoughts. It is your inner world that creates your reality. Your imagination is the bridge between where you are and where you desire to be. If you wish to change your life, you must first change what you see in your mind. The moment you assume a new reality internally, the external world will begin to shift to match it. The way you use your imagination determines what manifests in your life. If you constantly worry, imagining worst-case scenarios, you are giving life to those fears. If you dwell on past failures, you reinforce them and create more of the same. But if you deliberately use your imagination to see yourself as already having what you desire, you set powerful forces into motion. Your mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. When you persist in an imagined state, your subconscious mind accepts it as reality, and the world moves to reflect it. Imagination is not mere daydreaming. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the creative force that shapes your destiny. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, and every moment of transformation begins with imagination. The people who have changed the world did not do so by merely reacting to their environment. They first imagined something greater and lived in that vision until it became their reality. When you imagine yourself as already having your desire, you must do so with feeling. It is not enough to simply visualize, you must feel the reality of your assumption. Imagine the scene in vivid detail, what you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. If you desire wealth, imagine holding money in your hands, feeling its texture, sensing the confidence and security that comes with it. If you desire love, imagine the warmth of an embrace, the joy of deep connection, the certainty of being cherished. The stronger the feeling, the faster the manifestation. Most people allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They look around at their current circumstances and assume that what they see is all that exists. But the outer world is only a reflection of past thoughts and assumptions. If you want to create something new, you must look beyond what your senses tell you and rely on the power of imagination. Assume that what you desire already exists in an unseen reality and persist in that assumption. Repetition is key. The first time you imagine something new, it may feel unnatural. Your mind may resist trying to pull you back to old patterns of thought. But the more you repeat an imagined scene, the more real it becomes. Just as a habit is formed through repetition, so too is a new reality impressed upon the subconscious mind. When you impress a desire deeply enough, the subconscious mind takes over and brings it into physical existence. Imagination works best in a relaxed state. When your body is at ease and your mind is quiet, you are more receptive to new impressions. This is why the moments before sleep and just after waking are so powerful. In these states, the conscious mind is less resistant, and the subconscious is more open to suggestion. If you impress your desires upon your mind in these moments, they take root more quickly. Many people struggle with doubt. They imagine their desires but quickly allow fear and uncertainty to creep in. They question whether it will really happen, whether they are capable, whether they are worthy. But doubt is simply a misuse of imagination. Instead of imagining failure, shift your focus back to the certainty of your fulfilled desire. Do not waver between belief and disbelief. Persist in the assumption that what you want is already yours. Imagination is not limited by time or space. The reality you wish to create already exists in the infinite realm of possibilities. The only thing standing between you and that reality is your belief in it. The moment you fully accept it in your mind, it begins to take shape in the physical world. Some may wonder how imagination can influence external events. But everything that exists began as an idea. Every invention, every great work of art, every scientific breakthrough started in the imagination of someone who dared to believe in the unseen. The same principle applies to your own life. When you live in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the world rearranges itself to bring your vision into being. Imagination does not work through force or struggle. You do not need to obsess over how your desires will come to pass. The how is not your concern. Your only job is to assume the state of your wish fulfilled and trust that the world will conform. Just as a seed grows into a tree without effort, your assumption will unfold naturally if you do not interfere with doubt and fear. There is nothing you cannot create with imagination. If you can conceive it and persist in the feeling of it, it must come to pass. The limitations you perceive are only the result of habitual thinking. If you believe something is impossible, you will not even attempt it. But if you assume that anything is possible, the doors of reality will open to you in ways you cannot predict. Use your imagination deliberately. Do not allow it to be controlled by fear, doubt, or negative influences. Guard your thoughts as you would guard a priceless treasure. What you consistently imagine will inevitably become your experience. If you want to live a life of abundance, love, and success, fill your mind with images of abundance, love, and success. Assume that you already have everything you desire, and let the power of imagination bring it into form. Faith is the bridge between imagination and reality. It is the unwavering confidence that what you assume to be true will become your experience. Faith is not just belief, it is knowing. It is the deep inner conviction that what you have imagined already exists, even if your senses do not yet confirm it. The world will always reflect your dominant beliefs, and faith is the force that turns an assumption into a physical reality. Many people think of faith as something passive, something they must simply hope for. But faith is active. It is a state of being. It is living in the absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are exercising faith. You are stepping into a reality that is not yet visible, but one that must materialize because you have accepted it as true. Faith does not waver. It does not question, analyze, or seek reassurance from the outside world. It does not look for signs to believe. Faith is the conviction that the unseen is just as real as that the internal world is the cause and the external world is the effect. When you understand this, you no longer look at your current circumstances to determine what is possible. You no longer allow the past to dictate your future. Instead, you rest in the knowing that what you desire already exists, and you allow it to unfold in perfect order. Most people struggle with faith because they are too attached to their senses. They see lack, so they believe in lack. They experience rejection, so they expect more rejection. They feel lonely, so they assume they will always be alone. But this is not faith. This is submission to the outer world. True faith disregards appearances and holds steadfast to the inner vision. It does not accept the present condition as final, but recognizes it as the product of past thoughts. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you believe to be true. Faith does not require evidence. It is the evidence. When you fully embody the state of having your desire, when you feel it so deeply that it becomes more real to you than your present circumstances, you will see the world shift to match your assumption. The outer world cannot resist a mind that is fully convinced. It must yield. But the moment you allow doubt to creep in, the moment you begin to question whether your desire will really come to pass, you interrupt the process. The subconscious mind is always listening, and it will reflect whatever you impress upon it. If you waver between belief and disbelief, your reality will be inconsistent, mirroring the uncertainty within you. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This means that faith is not just a hopeful wish, it is the actual substance of your desire. It is the invisible force that brings the unseen into form. If you have faith, you do not need to ask how or when your desire will manifest. You do not need to look for signs or question whether it is working. You simply know, and because you know, it must be. Faith is persistence. It is the ability to remain loyal to your vision even when everything around you seems to contradict it. It is standing firm in your assumption, refusing to accept anything less than the fulfillment of your desire. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what happens in the present moment, the outcome is already determined. The moment you assume something is true, it begins to take shape. It may not appear instantly, but it is unfolding in ways you cannot see. Many give up too soon. They imagine their desire, feel it for a moment, but then let doubt and impatience take over. They look at the external world and see no change, so they assume nothing is happening. But this is a mistake. The moment you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust the process. You know that beneath the surface, something is happening. In the same way, faith requires patience. It requires the willingness to persist in your assumption without needing immediate proof. Faith is a decision. It is choosing to believe in your vision more than in your fears. It is deciding once and for all that what you have imagined is real and allowing no other possibility. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means understanding that reality is fluid, that it is shaped by your consciousness. You are not bound by the present moment unless you choose to be. You are not a victim of circumstances unless you accept them as unchangeable. The moment you decide that a new reality is yours, the world begins to conform. Faith does not mean struggle. It does not mean forcing things to happen. It means surrendering to the truth that what you desire is already done. It means trusting that everything is unfolding in divine timing, that you do not need to chase, beg, or force anything into place. It means letting go of desperation and stepping into certainty. When you truly have faith, you feel at peace. You no longer try to control every detail because you know that the outcome is inevitable. Faith is the key to every manifestation. Without it, imagination remains a dream, an idea without power. But with faith, imagination becomes creation. The world moves according to the convictions you hold within. When you understand this, you no longer fear the unknown. You no longer doubt your ability to shape your destiny. You know that you are the creator of your experience, and you live in the confidence that all things are possible to the one who believes.